Hey guys, Lord Naren White here, the Holy Ghost, the one true God. Back with you with the next video in my series, reading Dracula by Bram Stoker. Without further ado, returning to Dracula, as read by Lord Naren White. Lord Godalming's brows contracted, and he stood up and walked about the room. By and by, he stopped and said, turning from one to another of us, "Quincy's head is level. This burglary business is getting serious. We got off once all right, but we have now a rare job on hand. Unless we can find the Count's key basket." As nothing could well be done before morning, and as it would be at least advisable to wait till Lord Godalming should hear from Mitchell's, we decided not to take any active step before breakfast time. For a good while we sat and smoked, discussing the matter in its various lights and bearings. I took the opportunity of bringing this diary right up to the moment. I am very sleepy and shall go to bed. Just a line. Mina sleeps soundly and her breathing is regular. Her forehead is puckered up into wrinkles, as though she thinks even in her sleep. She is still too pale, but does not look so haggard as she did this morning. Tomorrow will, I hope, mend all this. She will be herself at home in Exeter. Oh, but how I am sleepy. Dr. Seward's Diary, 1 October. I am puzzled afresh about Renfield. His moods change so rapidly that I find it difficult to keep touch of them, and as they always mean something more than his own well-being, they form a more than interesting study. This morning, when I went to see him after his repulse of Van Helsing, his manner was that of a man commanding destiny. He was, in fact, commanding destiny. Subjective. He did not really care for any of the things of mere earth. He was in the clouds and looked down on all the weaknesses and wants of us poor mortals. I thought I would improve the occasion and learn something, so I asked him, "What about the flies these times?" He smiled. On me in quite a superior sort of way. Such a smile as would become the face of Malvolio, as he answered me, "The fly, my dear sir, has one striking feature. Its wings are typical of the aerial powers of the psychic faculties. The ancients did well when they typified the soul as a butterfly." I thought I would push his analogy to its utmost logically, so I said quickly, "Oh, it is a soul you are after now, is it?" His madness foiled his reason, and a puzzled look spread over his face as, shaking his head with a decision which I had but seldom seen in him, he said, oh no, I want no souls. Life is all I want." Here he brightened up. "I am pretty indifferent about it at present. Life is all right. I have all I want. You must get a new patient, doctor, if you wish to study zoophagy." This puzzled me a little, so I drew him on. "Then you command life. You are a god, I suppose?" He smiled with an ineffably benign superiority. "Oh no, far be it from me to arrogate to myself the attributes of the deity. I am not even concerned in his especially spiritual doings. If I may state my intellectual position, I am, so far as concerns things purely terrestrial, somewhat in the position which Enoch occupied spiritually." This was a poser to me. I could not at the moment recall Enoch's appositeness. So I had to ask a simple question, though I felt that by so doing I was lowering myself in the eyes of the lunatic.
And why with Enoch? Because he walked with God.
I could not see the analogy, but did not like to admit it, so I harked back to what he had denied.
So you don't care about life and you don't want souls. Why not?
I put my question quickly and somewhat sternly, on purpose to disconcert him. The effort succeeded. For an instant he unconsciously relapsed into his old servile manner, bent low before me, and actually fawned upon me as he replied,
I don't want any souls. Indeed, I don't. I couldn't use them if I had them. There would be no manner of use to me. I couldn't eat them, or...
He suddenly stopped, and the old cunning look spread over his face, like a wind sweep on the surface of the water. And, doctor, as to life, what is it after all?
When you've got all you require, and you know that you will never want, that is all. I have friends, good friends like you, Dr. Seward.
This was said with a leer of inexpressible cunning.
I know that I shall never lack the means of life.
I think through the cloudiness of his insanity he saw some antagonism in me, for he at once fell back on the last refuge of such as he, a dogged silence. After a short time I saw that for the present it was useless to speak to him. He was so sulky I came away, and so I came away. Later in the day he sent for me. Ordinarily I would not have come without special reason, but just at present I am so interested in him that I would gladly make an effort. Besides, I am glad to have anything to help pass the time. Harker is out, following up clues, and so are Lord Godalming and Quincy. Van Helsing sits in my study poring over the record prepared by the Harkers. He seems to think that by accurate knowledge of all details, he will light up on some clue. He does not wish to be disturbed in the work. Without cause, I would have taken him with me to see the patient. Only I thought that after his repulse he might not care to go again. There was also another reason. Renfield might not speak so freely before a third person as when he and I were alone. I found him sitting in the middle of the floor on his stool, a pose which is generally indicative of some mental energy on his part. When I came in, he said at once, as though the question had been waiting on his lips,
What about souls?
It was evident that my surmise had been correct. Unconscious cerebration was doing its work. Even with the lunatic, I determined to have the matter out.
What about them yourself? I asked.
He did not reply for a moment, but looked all around him, and up and down, as though he expected to find some inspiration for an answer.
I don't want any souls,
he said in a feeble, apologetic way. The matter seemed preying on his mind, and so I determined to use it, too.
Be cruel only to be kind.
So I said,
You like life, you want life. Oh, yes. But that is all right. You needn't worry about that. But, I asked, how are we to get the life without getting the soul also?
This seemed to puzzle him, so I followed it up.
A nice time you'll have some time, when you're flying out here, with the souls of thousands of flies and spiders and birds and cats buzzing, and twittering and moaning all around you. You've got their lives, you know, and you must put up with their souls.
Something seemed to affect his imagination, for he put his fingers to his ears and shut his eyes, screwing them up tightly, just as a small boy, when his face is being soaped. There was something pathetic in it that touched me, It also gave me one lesson, for it seemed that before me was a child, only a child, though the features were worn, and the stubble on the jaws was white. It was evident that he was undergoing some process of mental disturbance, and knowing how his past moods had interrupted seemingly foreign to himself, I thought I would enter into his mind as well as I could and go with him. The first step was to restore confidence, so I asked him, speaking pretty loud, that he would hear me through his closed ears.
Would you like some sugar to get your flies around again?
He seemed to wake up all at once, and shook his head. With a laugh, he replied,
Not much. Flies are poor things after all.
After a pause, he added,
But I don't want their souls buzzing around me, all the same.
We'll go ahead and stop there for this week. As usual, I want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. Please like, comment, and subscribe.
As it greatly helps the channel.
Light be with you all. Take care, and thanks again.